Alrighty, so I'm gonna try to do a review on this giant kit here. Joe keeps asking; he wants to see it really bad. So I'm gonna go into it and try to review it as best I can. Now, I don't think I can do any kind of quick review on this. I think it's going to be a very long review. I'm sure you can see by the number. Whatever it is that you see is the best I can do. I had talked with Rick Arter a couple times on how to review a major kit, like one of the big truck kits or something like this, that just have parts and parts and parts that just go on forever, and try to get it within a 10-15 minute window, and I just don't think it's even possible. I may try to figure out a way to split this into like 2 videos, but you know, it's going to take what it's going to take. I'm just going to have to take my time and see what I can do in the editor. And if anybody's got any tips on how to make this video any shorter, let me know, because I have a lot of kits like this, and if I'm going to do reviews on them, they're going to be this long, no matter what I do. But anyway, this is the, as you can see, it's the Firebird from, okay, well, it was made by Otaki. Now, Otaki is no longer in business. In fact, I can't really even find a whole lot of information on them. Bought out by Doyusha, and parts of them bought out by testers. If you see a lot of kind of Japanese type stuff coming out from testers back in the 80s, that's why that happened. And Doyusha repopped a lot of these kits, and they may have repopped this one. I'm not completely sure. Actually, I don't think they ever did, which is just bizarre. They did a lot of them, like the big Lamborghini, I think a lot of people have seen. And I've got that one too, and I don't think that one can be reviewed in under an hour because it's got like 600 pieces. But this one, you're looking, there's no parts count, and I didn't count all the parts, but it looks like about 300 or 400. And I'm just going to do the best I can. Now, this is an unknown year. It's a bit of a mystery. I see people all over the internet giving it different years. Joe called it a 71. I quickly corrected him and called it a 73, and now I'm looking on the internet and I'm thinking it's a 71 because of this. If you see right there, the engine is the 455 HO, high output, which was only offered in 71 and 72 from what I can see there. They went to something called 455 SD. Now, that makes this a 71 or 72. And they never explained it anywhere on the box or in the instructions or anywhere. I don't know if there's a difference between 71 and 72, so I'm going to call it a 71. Now, how old is the kit? I think it's about 71. This is something that they used to do. 71, 72, maybe 73 is when this kit came out, and it is that old. Wait till you see the instruction book. That's something that they used to do, is when the cars came out, they would make the kits. Even the big Lamborghini kit is probably a 75 Lamborghini Countach. So anyway, there's gonna be a lot of breaks in this video because I'm gonna have to have a break myself several times and look around the box. You know, I'm reviewing this because you can actually get these. These are still on eBay. This side of the box is the only thing showing anything different. But yeah, you can definitely still get these on eBay. And I'm an eBay member, so I can do an advanced search, and I just did one to see what they're selling for right now. And it looks like just barely over 200. And that's about what I paid. This was probably 10 years ago, though, that I bought this for just over 200. So the prices are staying about the same. If you're patient, I saw one guy got one for 125. I don't know if it was missing anything or what, but if you're patient, you can get a good deal. but you can expect to pay just over $200 for this one. And oh yeah, if anybody's thinking, for trade or sell or anything like that, no. No, the Firebirds never leave. Well, especially if I have run-of-the-mill Firebird where it's very, very available, then maybe I would sell or trade. But this one's never leaving the house. Okay, I'll probably take a break here because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the instruction book next, and then I'll start going through parts. So I'll be right back. Okay, so here's the instruction book. As you can see, I mean, the camera is actually making it look a little whiter than it is, but trust me, it's quite yellow. No date on it anywhere. I mean, it's possible. I can't read Japanese. Maybe that's the date up there, or maybe it's something else. I don't know what it is. But yeah, the old Otaki model toy company. I just saw on the internet that it's out of business. That's all I know. Straight from Japan. So Japanese, ironically, made the best Firebird kit probably ever. Just kind of funny information here. General information, common bad translation and stuff like that. But it is, at least when this was made, the Firebird was selling for 5.2 million yen. And what that translates to in today's standards, I just don't know. But that's just funny to me anyway. Your standard stuff, how to remove parts from sprues. And I'm wanting to show a few of these things just so you have some reference when I get to the actual parts. There were some interesting things about that. Look at this, the way the drive shaft goes into the end of the drive shaft with that eyelet to connect to that. Now, on some of these Otaki kits, the engine, some of these were motorized, and the motor, the electric motor, they would put inside of the engine. I think that you might be able to see there, when I get to the engine, you might be able to see that it is set up to hold an electric motor. And that electric motor would actually spin the drive shaft just the way it's supposed to. And I have, you know what, I'm just reminded, I have two smaller 1/16 scale Otaki kits that do have their electric motors. So at a later date, I might be able to show you how they put the electric motor inside the plastic engine to hide the electric motor, and it'll turn the drive shaft and make the wheels turn and everything the way it's supposed to. This kit does not have the electric motor. This is not a motorized one. But as you can see, it's not going to fall short on detail too much. It's got the plug wires and all that, all right down to a dipstick. That's pretty great. The different parts for the engine parts there, and two exhaust manifolds. I don't recall exactly how the exhaust comes together on this one, but the wheels I'll get to when I get to the actual parts. But here's showing the detailed suspension and the way it all goes together. It definitely has real springs in there, and the control arms work the way they're supposed to. And so it definitely has working suspension, working spring front suspension, and working leaf spring suspension in the back. And yeah, there's an example of the wishbone in a control arm. And then here, your stabilizer bar. And there was something interesting. Oh yeah, look at this. Down here, where you have, I've never seen separate, you put together the steering, separate tie rods and center link. So very accurate, very good. And I'm just kind of scrolling through to see if I can find anything unique or interesting. The metal shaft goes inside of the rear axle there. And I think I just missed the part where they were putting that that yoke on there. But yeah, the little hangers there. Okay. And here you are putting together the wheel in the brake drum. Okay, now this is going to remind you of the Petty kit that just came out. Very detailed leaf springs with the shackles and the U-bolts. And so everything's free to move, and so it will actually function because the just like a leaf spring is flexible, the plastic is flexible. And here's a look at the drive shaft going together. As you can see, it's got the U-joints, two-piece U-joints, and their little planetary thing there. So as the suspension is working, just like a real car, the shaft will be able to move up and down and still turn correctly. Set up for the electric motor that's in some of these. Yeah. So. And I feel the need to apologize for it being a super long video, but I just can't see any other way. And this is, you know, Rick, if you're watching, if you can see anything. Oh yeah, reclinable seats. That's going to be pretty neat. But Rick, if you see anything, ideas that may help you, ideas that you think I can skip or whatever, let me know, and we'll try to figure out how to review some of these major kits faster. But I don't know. Look at how the doors attach. And then with their hinge system. And of course everything opens and everything works, you know, not to the extent like the windows don't crank up and down or anything like that. Now Chris, you're going to like this. The headlights are all set up for lights, and in fact some of these actually come with lights. The little grain of wheat lights and the wiring and battery tray I think was mounted in the gas tank on some of these, but those, yeah, right down here you'll see. The headlights are all set up, and so I've never lit a kit, but gosh, if it's set up that easy, I would definitely light it. Get some LEDs in there. There's no way to avoid that. And just an overview of some engine compartment stuff. Nothing that unique. Other than the way that whole thing mounts in there. Kind of a pre-assembly I've never seen before. And then you put the whole thing in there as one big awkward piece. I don't know how good that's going to work. But yeah, there's the hood hinging. And another look at how that's supposed to look. And yeah, look at this, air conditioner components. I remember seeing them mounting up to the compressor in your brake booster there. So, you know, great detail in this one. Okay, just an overview of some more engine-based stuff. Some more lines. And the dashboard, I'm going to have to take a look at the dashboard, but I can remember somebody telling me at least that it's very easy to light up the dashboard, or that on one of the electronic versions of this kit it tells you to, or provides the lighting and so on. Looking at the taillights, my guess is that they're easy to light up as well. Got these little covers on the back, and probably be pretty simple to get some LEDs in there, just because of how big everything is. And attaching the trunk lid in the rear window. There's the trunk itself, the way it mounts underneath there. Several other components, windshield wipers, windshield, and then it will be all screwed on there. The larger kits are screwed on rather than glued. And here's looks like the same AC components again, and they're actually putting the master cylinder in there for the brakes, and a really big breather in your hoses. And I don't know offhand if those are probably styrene hoses, looking at the way they're turned and molded. So, oh yeah, so here's a look at the breather cover, shaker, breather cover, shaker. Okay, and then the hood. I'm hoping it operates really, really well. And then over here is a look at all the little tiny body pieces, which really helps for detailing, because you can paint the whole piece and then glue it on rather than painting within a piece or something. All the little reflectors and everything are their own little pieces. And then your rear bumper. Now, I am not remembering a lot of decals, so I think that it is lacking in that department. And then it's just some outlines of the parts here. And then all your metal or extra parts there. So that's a look at the instructions. Let me get on to the kit. I'll pull probably a sheet or two at a time out and do this carefully. Okay, and here's a look at the open box. It's really hard to get back far enough to get the whole box in, but there we go. And if you can see on the decal sheet here, I'll just start there. Now the decal sheet, it originally came with 3 birds, and one was red. And they tell you on the instructions which one goes on which body color, but I mean, you can do whatever you want. But you'll notice that the red one is missing. I actually had a friend of mine who, a long time ago, got one of these off eBay, a built one, kind of a wreck that was missing a few parts, and he needed a hood decal, so I gave him one. Yes, indeed. Yes, I did. And actually, that's what's happened here on this bag here. You can see the rear bumper is in there, as is, let me see on this side, you got the breather, and yes, I'll open those up later. You ever notice that as you're filming you can't do anything with one hand? There we go, I got it open. Okay, so there's the breather and the shaker intake. And the intake manifold and that is the carburetor that's over there. But let me concentrate on these pieces. Now, the reason why these pieces are separate is because I lent them out. Same guy who needed that decal needed to borrow some pieces to resin cast them, and then he would send them right back. And he did. That was a little scary. because I mean this kit was completely sealed inside and all the parts were here, and they still are, minus that one decal. And I did. I sent him the parts that he needed, which were these parts and that bumper, and he made large resin castings of them all, and then he sent the pieces back, and I was very happy to get them back. Anyway, that's the story on those. And this is the way the box is laid out. You got this part, this side here, that has all the parts trees, and then these big kits usually have this cardboard divider, and then there's the body, and the wheels and tires in their own little plastic things. Oh good, 40-year-old glue. And then all the electric, not the electric, but metal springs and screws and things like that. And there's the rear axle. So while I'm over here, I want to start with that. Now these wheels, this is neat. I have been in here. I had to dig these out one time. I just had to see. The tires, of course, are rubber. And the wheels are die-cast. Metal, probably zinc. I think I've got it. Alright, so there we go. And then the wheel is in there. Be simple with two hands, but practically impossible with one. And I'll probably, why not? The video is probably an hour long in the first place. So let me set the tire out there and set the wheel out there. So let me get a tight look at the wheel. This is cast something, die cast zinc probably, or who knows what it is. But the honeycomb, the original honeycomb. And the tire over there, very old school Dunlop. $175. $175 SR14. I had just read on the internet this had 15-inch wheels. Maybe the rears. Nope, they all say 14. I don't think it had 14-inch wheels, but I could be wrong. Just a quick look at the tread pattern. And that's the tires. Now I'm going to take a break and I'm going to pull the body out. Alright, on to the exciting part. Definitely the exciting part, the body. Look at that. And this is huge, guys. Look at this. I would say 1.5 feet long, maybe. So, definitely very awesome. Let me swing around to the front. And I am a little surprised that it doesn't have a separate front clip, but considering that all the parts are separate there, I'm good with that. Surprisingly, I do see a mold line there. I don't know about their overall quality, Otaki, but it's pretty good. Like in the top here, I'll get up really closely. Definitely going to need primer and a sand, because you see that? I think that's the way it came off the mold. See all those little lines? And this was untouched. This was absolutely in plastic when I got it. So, it's definitely, we all do it anyway. Prime it and wet sand it and get it ready for paint. Over here in the corner, you're definitely going to have to sand that seam line off. But your trim is there. Needs a little work. There's Pontiac on the back. Let me raise this up. That's about it, because the bumper. And okay, on the side here, got your little Trans Am logo. not logo, but you know, not really script either, so I won't say script. But that's a look at that, and then here's the chassis. As you can see, as I was explaining earlier, obviously inside the gas tank is where they're going to hide batteries. Some of these are motorized. I mean, it's crazy. You know, you spend months building this, making it beautiful, and then you're supposed to turn it on and let it roll and let it run across the floor and run into things. But that's what some of them do. So, I mean, that will be covered by the gas tank. And then your little holders for the exhaust and so on. Down in the tunnel, I'll just show in there. And, you know, representations are pretty good, pretty crisp of the body and the frame. And then up here, there's these curious little notched little semicircles, and I think what those are, I'm remembering in the instructions the way the steering was set up. It didn't look right, and I think that basically they ride in there like a little click into position, so a steerable front end, but it will hold the position, like, you know, click click click, turn 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 turn, and then it'll hold it there rather than swinging around. And I think that's what those are for. I've seen those in other kits. Kind of wish they weren't in this kit. Maybe there's a way to modify that and not do that. And I'll find out someday when I build this one. But anyway, let's move on to some parts trees. Okay, here we got the first two part sheets. We've got the chrome sheet and the body panel sheet. I will start by giving a little bit of a closer look at the decals. Now, you guys are probably wondering, if I ever built this, I would go with this one, and they're saying that you have to paint it white. Japanese. They say that this one has to be white to use this bird, but I wouldn't do it. I would paint the whole thing midnight blue, and then so it would kind of just be kind of a ghost image on there, and then contrasting with the black inner, and I think that would be just the way to go. Midnight blue with this bird. Now, unfortunately, I think this is it for decals, and there's so many more things that need decals. I'm kind of wondering. I've never really gone through this kit. I'm hoping there's another decal sheet, because things like the little logo that goes on the breather, if anybody knows, the Pontiac 455 had a kind of a unique logo, and if it's not in here somewhere, I would have to find it and scan it and print it and get it on there. But otherwise, okay, there's the trunk lid, and the trunk lid definitely has the molded in Trans Am on the back there. And here we have the side view mirrors and the side scoops. And here's those funny parts. What am I looking at? It's funny, sometimes I'm looking at the part and I'm looking at the screen and they're not looking the same. I don't know what that is. Is that the underside of the trunk? I think that's the underside of the trunk. And then here's those funny parts that were on the inside of the front fenders, inside the engine bay, and they meet up with those inner wheel well pieces. Curious to see how well those line up. Up there you got the doors, and then that awesome hood. And you saw the scoop earlier. I put back in the other plastic bag. And if I'm going to go around to the side here. Now, these pieces here are definitely going to need a bit of work to make sure they're completely smooth, because you can see the ribbing is showing through, and the bracing is on the trunk lid as well. Now, if you're like me, your first reaction was, oh no, it's you know, a little sink marks, a little extra work, and then you realized, oh boy, it's got ribbing, and that piece is definitely going to fall off. Okay. So on the bottom sides of these pieces, you've got the correct ribbing. Paint that like a flat black. If you remember that, this was the insulation that always fell down and ended up having to tear it all off. Back in the 70s, they didn't know what they were doing. And on the bottom side of the trunklet as well. Look how high that wing is there. I like that. And the underside of the trunklet. I sure do like that. Oh, okay, and the chrome sheet over here. Items of interest are that Pontiac script. I'm going to say script even though it's print. Pontiac print. And look at those headlight surrounds. Chromed pretty good, not the best chrome I've ever seen. Of course, the valve covers were not chrome, I don't think. 2 gas caps. Am I naming parts wrong already? Curiously, no, like these yokes here, the universal joints, not supposed to be chrome, nor is this big brace piece is not supposed to be chrome. Got some nice tailpipe tips there. I think that's what they are. They probably are. And then this is interesting. I think this is the inside of the side scoops. And then here's the insets on the grill. Oops. Interesting. This side. And those lights, these ones. Where are they down there? See that? These little covers on those fog lights. Or turn signal lights. Interesting. And that should just about do it for the chrome sheets. Some of the pieces, of course, I don't identify. I can't identify right off the bat. When the kits are this detailed, they're modeling parts that they don't normally model, and on different cars they look different, and I can't identify them. Like those. What are those? Mufflers? Chrome mufflers? Wow. I think those need to be stripped. Anyway, I think at this point we'll move on to the next couple of parts trees. Okay, so now we've got these 2 pieces. These are like rear end area for the most part. No, it's just undercarriage parts. Okay, over here we got the leaf springs, and I didn't test to see. Yep, nice and springy. So I mean the rear leaf springs. This is going to work, and your firewall. Take a pretty good look at that. Wouldn't look forward to painting those individual things individually. Rather stout looking rear end, and I think that this is probably, if you're looking at the other part of it, it's probably inaccurate. It's probably too big, and the reason why, now this is just a big giant piece for the tub that holds the back seat, and the rear package tray. Oh, okay, yeah, definitely rear package tray, because you got speaker grills. Oh, and those 1971 AM radios were really good. No, but inside the differential, you can see that there's a lot of room for. There's a company named Peerless that was making the little gears and stuff like this for these kits that had the electric motors, and so the I think the differential's oversized to hold the gears, and that's a shame. But it is what it is, There's no other 1/12 scale 71 Firebirds out there. Look at the finish on these. Here's the door panels. Oh, it's not showing up on camera. Oh no. showing up a little more on that one. Maybe if I come back here, it's got a neat finish to it that I would be tempted to leave there. I'm wondering if all the interior pieces look like that. I don't think they were leather. I think everything was vinyl, but it really looks good. And inner fender wells, and then various parts. I think that your compressor is there, and your distributor, and some rear suspension parts. And here's all your U bolts are over here. And those air conditioner parts, I believe they're air conditioner parts, right over there. And then more rear end parts. And you know, guys, I'm trying to go as fast as I can. This kit has a million pieces, so that will do it for those two part sheets. Let's get on to the next two. Okay, moving on to some more sheets. I opened two more bags, and there were 3 sheets in those 2 bags, and we're getting into some interesting stuff here. I'm really glad I'm reviewing this because I had never opened these bags. These bags were still sealed, and especially layered like this, you couldn't see everything. And this is a great opportunity to go in here and look at all these parts, and I'm just amazed. You remember, these are the different U-joint pieces where you build your drive shaft the way you would build a real drive shaft. Incredible. Really, really cool. And that, of course, is meant for correct operation with an electric motor. And then there's your brake booster up there. And these, I think, are some, of course, license plate, and I don't know what those are right offhand. Given a little bit of time, I would figure it out. These are your exhaust pipes, I think. And various other little controllers, and, you know, your separate brake pedal and gas pedal. Looks like it had disc brakes in the front. I swear I really expected it to have separate calipers, but it doesn't. And I'm glad. I mean, gosh, you got to simplify it at some point. This is part of the alignment, the camber. Can't think of the names right off the bat. But for front suspension. Okay, so, and then I think these are the big door hinges. Now these are, look how big this stuff is. I mean, that's massive. I think those are the door hinges. And then we're getting into all kind of other stuff. Oh, I should get in tight on this. Oh, look what I found. That is this is going to be an AM radio. And some of you new guys probably never saw one of these. What does it say there? I can't read that on my screen. My guess is that once I have it on the computer, I'll be able to read that. It says something on there, but those were your presets. It was all mechanical. You pressed those buttons, they were hard to press, and it would jam the dial over to where you had set it before. And it was never exactly on. Any of you guys remember that? But, okay, so we're getting into some engine detail parts over here. Those big lines and hoses and apparatuses that you remember seeing on the instructions. And there's your probably, I was just watching a video. Chevy Cheeseburger was talking about the lower radiator hose. I don't know if that's the lower or the upper, but it looks good in this kit. And then over here, and we got that other piece here. It took me the longest time to figure out. I've been over here, I had the camera off, and I'm looking at these, and I'm just trying to figure out what on earth is going on here. What are those? What are these little things? And it finally occurred to me when I counted them that these are spark plugs. Engine actually has spark plugs. That's crazy. I've never seen that before. Anyway, over here, there is some final hose for something. So, be doing some heater hose or something somewhere. I don't recall that on the instructions. But now, looking at this, these, so I got some red pieces and I got some amber pieces, and I can identify it all. Clearly brake lights, and then these are side marker lights, and then these little strips here are just the little reflectors. You can see they're on the fender. But I can't for the life of me figure out why they molded a whole sheet in red and molded a whole sheet in amber. I just don't get it. I mean, amber taillights. Anybody's from Japan? I mean, do they do that over there? I don't understand, but I'm just showing what came with it. Moving on, we'll come over here to the interior pieces, and I'm loving this shade of blue. Look at this shade of blue. That's your back seat there, and then of course your front bucket seats recline. And I like that color. I would want to try to... wouldn't really go good with midnight blue, would it? But yeah, I remember seeing that color back in '71. They used colors like that. And they of course are reclining buckets. There's the steering wheel. Maybe I'll be able to see on the other side of this. Oh no, it's just a back. Okay, so that's a seat back. Okay, so that's the seat back, the seat front, and maybe this is the bottom of the seat. Or maybe that's the bottom of the seat. Okay, that's the bottom of the seat. And I'm confused. But it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's a look at those pieces. Fascinating stuff. I already want to thank you, Joe, for... Joe kept on... He really, really wanted to see this kit. I was like, well, maybe someday. He's like, I really want to see it. So I'm glad I'm into it because I really didn't realize it was this good. And so it's neat to see it all. Anyway, move on to the next two bags. Okay, we're finally on to the last two parts bags. And in those two parts bags, there were 4 more trees. So let's get to it. Okay, over here, this one. I can only guess that these are more exhaust pieces. These long ones must be. These two pieces here, offhand, I don't know. And I'll just be honest, I don't. Maybe they go, they're extensions right off the bottom of the exhaust manifolds. This is probably clearly a torque converter, I think. I think that's going to be the torque converter. Okay, right here is your fan. It's a great looking fan. And your front spindles here, nice and thick. I'm happy to see that they're nice and thick because these models, when they're all put together, when they're large scale like this, they have a lot of weight to them and they will tend to sag. Something that the old General Lee kit had big problems with. And then these are little insets for the grill. This is the back of the inset. The front looks much better. Look at that. Remember that? You guys from that era, you remember seeing these cars and as a kid looking in through the grill on these cars? I remember that clearly. I will do the motor last. Here is the clear parts. I'm happy to say that they're nice and clear. Got some tips on polishing glass anyway. I think that it's especially large pieces of glass on these large kits should always be polished. And that is the box shining through there. It's not, the windshield is not all bumpy. Over here, you got some little running light covers and fog light covers. Offhand, I don't know what that one would be. Oh. No, actually, I don't know what that is. But, okay, so then over here, the headlights. As you can see, they're big and hollowed out and ready for LEDs. And that would be just awesome. Now, okay, going over here to the radiator. Gigantic two-piece radiator, if you can imagine how good that's going to look. I'll paint it up in silver. And some other parts that are, who knows, brackets and things for, okay, so your fan shroud and the gas tank all look really good. And your cowl. Looks real. And oh yeah, more hold downs for brackets and things, whatever opens and closes and stuff. Old style battery here. Old school battery there. And a starter. And then here is a look at the main part of the front dashboard area. Let's see, do I have a top of a dashboard? Maybe there's not much between. Oh, okay. I see, that's going to attach to the cowl, and then there's the top of your dash right there. And then there are some loose representations of stuff in here. For such a ridiculously detailed kit, I'm kind of surprised. You know, it could be worked with, but probably end up just sanding that smooth and getting some images off the internet and print a decal and stick it in there. There was a cover. Oh, it's over on that other sheet. Okay, going over to the engine sheet. And this is the last part sheet. I'm doing a bunch of clips, so I have no idea what total time is. Okay, here is the dash inset that covers over that dash area. Your old air conditioner controls. Some of you kids may not remember that. And another drive shaft piece, 2 hefts. Does not have separate belts and cogs, but I'm good with that. And there's your exhaust manifolds. Oh, okay. Console shifter. Automatic transmission. And the center link for the steering, and then the other parts must be around somewhere. Oh, they're way over there. Kind of oversized knuckles. Probably to make it easier to get together and operate as a toy. And then you have the center of the intake set up, and you saw the carburetor was off in another bag somebody had to borrow. And your oil pan over there. And the heads. Right there, big Pontiac 455 heads. And then, of course, big Pontiac 455. Right there. Represented, you know, okay. Pretty good. As I said, they keep these big and hollow so they can hide an electric motor in there. And it must fit into those little brackets and what have you. And then it has a separate shaft that connects to it and goes out the transmission and drives everything the way it should. Here's a look at the back of the heads. And yeah, I looked up on the instructions over here. It dawned on me while I was taking this apart, and yes, indeed, separate spark plugs that you put in the 8 spark plugs and then put the wires on them. Never seen that before. But anyway, gosh, are we done already? That was quick. I have no idea how long this video is. I'm just going to post it at full length if YouTube will let me. And that will be that. So what we have is a review on the 71. I'm going to call it a 71. Firebird Trans Am by Otaki. Repopped by, maybe it was no, actually I don't think it was ever repopped. So, you know, if you want one, Little Joe, if you want one, all I can say is eBay. eBay and patience. That's all you need, and you can have one of these. And, you know, this has been quite a journey. I think that what I've done is I've proved that you don't really want to do inbox reviews on these really big detail kits, but you guys tell me. I really don't know. You saw the time before you started watching. Hopefully you put it off till later when you could have something to eat or take a break or popcorn or watch while you're driving or something. So you saw it coming. Tell me whether or not this is within the realm of anything that anybody should do. And I'll base whether or not I ever do another one this big, based upon your comments. But Little Joe, hope you got a kick out of it. It's an awesome kit, really awesome kit. I can see somebody like me, it would take me probably a year to build this. And you know, gosh, as soon as my kids grow up, I'll dig into it. Anyway, that'll just about do it. I appreciate everybody watching. If anybody's still here at this point, I'm shocked. Anyway, go take a nap and have a good one.